It started quietly, like a whisper carried by the wind across Dar es Salaam. At first, no one paid attention. A few online posts, a cryptic hashtag, "Should reclaim Tanzania." But by the time the sun rose over the Indian Ocean, that whisper had turned into a roar. For years, young Tanzanians had watched from the sidelines, a generation born in the shadows of power, promised a future that never came. They had degrees, dreams, and devices, but no voice, and so the digital world became their battlefield. From the cracked screens of old phones in Mwanza to the buzzing cafes of Arusha, they connected, not through parties or parliaments, but through encrypted apps, secret channels, and viral videos. They called themselves the 2040 Movement, a name drawn from the future they wanted to build, not the past they had inherited. No one saw it coming. Not the ministers, not the army, not even the president, Samia Hassan, who only days earlier had declared the elections a triumph of democracy. But democracy had another face that night. It was young, angry, and unstoppable. The first flames appeared, on the outskirts of Dar to follow, not question. But this new generation was different. They questioned everything, even history itself. President Samia Hassan appeared on television that morning, calm but shaken. She urged the youth to return home, to respect the peace Tanzania is known for. But her words fell on deaf ears. The streets no longer listened. They wanted action, not appeals. And in the heart of Dodoma, the speaker's residence burned. Flames climbed into the night sky like a signal to the world. The old order is ending. No one knew who started it. Some said it was spontaneous. Others whispered it was planned. But one truth was undeniable. The fear had vanished. Every video uploaded, every post shared, every chant shouted became a piece of a puzzle larger than anyone could comprehend. Tanzania, the nation once praised as a pillar of East African stability, was now on the brink of transformation or destruction. And as the chaos spread, one location became the movement's beating heart. Julius Nyerere International Airport, a place once meant for departure, was about to become the epicenter of a revolution. As day brights, a single message flashed across every social media feed in the country. "Runway 1, take it back." Morning sunlight flooded the coastline of Dar es Salaam. But that day, it did not bring peace. It brought the sound of footsteps, thousands of them, converging toward a single place that symbolized power, control, and escape. Julius Nyerere International Airport, a name once whispered with pride, now echoed with defiance. From every direction, waves of young Tanzanians moved like tides. Students, artists, jobless graduates, and dreamers. No uniforms, no leaders, just one unspoken mission: take back what belongs to the people. The air shimmered with heat as the crowd approached the main terminal. Sunlight glared off broken glass and metal barricades. At first, airport security watched in confusion. They were trained for passengers, not revolutions. Then the shouting began. Not chaos, rhythm. Every chant synchronized like a heartbeat, pulsing through the concrete. Our time, our sky, our home. It was not a riot. It was choreography. A movement rehearsed through messages, coded emojis, and midnight calls. They moved in lines, surrounding the airport perimeter, blocking access roads, sealing exits. Air traffic controllers tried to send warnings to incoming flights, but the radios crackled with static. Power grids flickered. And then, silence. The entire airport went dark for 8 seconds. When lights returned, the Tanzanian flag that once flew, drones, orders to restore control. But what they saw stunned them. There were no weapons, no enemy, only young people, sitting cross-legged on the tarmac, holding signs that read, "We are not your threat. We are your children." The standoff lasted hours. The heat rose. Tempers, too. Soldiers formed a line. The youth formed a wall. And then something no one expected happened. One soldier dropped his shield. Then another. And another. The crowd cheered. The line between authority and rebellion blurred. It wasn't a battle anymore. It was a reckoning. Above them, drones circled, foreign and local, capturing every second of history as it unfolded. The world's headlines exploded. Tanzania airport seized by protesters. President missing. Gen Z declares Day of Liberation. But amid the triumph and confusion, a darker rumor began to spread, that the President, Samia Hassan, had been seen boarding a military helicopter hours before the airport fell. And since then, she hadn't been seen. Government channels denied it. Opposition pages swore it was true. But the truth was swallowed by static, just like the control tower's last transmission before blackout. The youth had won the airport, but they had lost their leader. By late afternoon, the sun burned orange above the runways, followed the storm. The takeover of Julius Nyerere International Airport had shaken the foundations of power. But what followed shook its soul. Because somewhere between the chaos and the calm, the president vanished. At first, the government claimed it was a security relocation, temporary evacuation for safety reasons. But no convoy had been seen leaving the capital, no helicopter recorded by radar, and no official voice came forward to confirm her location. President Samia Hassan, once seen daily on state television, now existed only in rumor. Some said she had crossed into Uganda through secret corridors. Others believed she had been taken into protective custody by her own generals. But the whispers that spread fastest were the ones that had no evidence at all, that she had been captured. At the airport itself, a single image, blurred and unverified, circulated online. A woman, in a dark coat, escorted by armed men toward an unmarked vehicle under the glaring sun. Her face turned away from the camera, her steps uncertain, and beneath the image, one haunting caption. The last time Tanzania saw its leader, as hours turned into days, the capital, Dodoma, became a ghost city. Parliament doors locked, State House empty. The national flag hung at half-mast, though no official mourning had been declared. In the silence, a strange calm settled, as if the entire country was holding its breath, waiting for someone to speak. But no one did. Then came the leak. An encrypted file uploaded anonymously at 3:14 a.m., titled Project Sandstorm. It contained satellite footage, coordinates, and fragments of a communication log between government pilots. The last recorded message from Air Force Channel 07 read, Eagle 1 departing Dar airspace, passenger confirmed. Destination, classified. Eagle 1, the code name used exclusively for presidential transport. The message ended abruptly, mid-sentence, followed by silence, then static, then nothing. Investigators tried to trace the file's origin, but every IP address looped back into dead servers. Even foreign intelligence agencies went quiet. The question that gripped the continent was simple and terrifying. Had the president fled or been erased? Meanwhile, at the seized airport, the youth refused to leave. They called it the People's Runway. Runway 1 had become a monument, covered with murals, flags, and messages of hope. But as days passed, hope began to fracture into suspicion. Leaders of the movement argued online, some calling for peace, others demanding justice for betrayal. In the shadows of victory, cracks began to appear. Some believed the president had escaped justice. Others whispered she was still in Tanzania, hidden deep beneath the same city she once ruled. No one noticed when the national news agency quietly changed its homepage. The usual banner, "The President's Office," was replaced by a plain black background and a single line of text. Power belongs to those who remain. No one knew who posted it. Within hours, the page vanished, replaced by an error message. International networks speculated endlessly. Some claimed the army was preparing a coup. Others believed the Gen Z takeover had fractured into rival factions. But the truth was more haunting. Power was no longer centralized. It was diffused. Every street corner, every online channel, every protester with a phone now carried a fragment of authority. The state no longer spoke. It watched, silently, nervously, as its own citizens took command. Foreign envoys fled the capital. Embassies shuttered their windows. And over the next 48 hours, something stranger happened. Tanzania disappeared from live air traffic maps. For the first time in modern history, a sovereign nation had closed its skies completely. Not by decree, but by absence. No flights in, no flights out. The airport was still in the hands of the people. And above that silence, the rumor spread that a coded message had been intercepted from a plane heading over Lake Victoria. A female voice, calm and low, saying only, "Do not look for me. Look for yourselves." The recording was never authenticated. Some claimed it was AI-generated. Others believed it was the real voice of Samia Hassan, speaking from exile, or perhaps captivity. Either way, it became legend, shared, remixed, analyzed, and debated. The final ghost of a president who had vanished in the daylight. The youth called her disappearance the Great Vanishing. Historians would later call it the day Tanzania awoke. But in the moment, no one could tell whether the dawn that followed was the beginning of freedom or the end of a nation. As night fell again over the deserted airport, a single light blinked atop the control tower, flickering in a coded pattern unseen by most. 3 long flashes, 2 short, 3 again. Morse code. It spelled one word: return. The 4th dawn after the uprising rose in silence. No alarms, no speeches, no flights, only wind. Sweeping across the deserted runways of Julius Nyerere International Airport, where the young now slept beside grounded planes like guardians of a dream, half remembered. The country had entered a strange calm, neither war nor peace. No one ruled, yet everyone watched. The army had retreated to its barracks. The parliament was locked. And somewhere in that stillness, Tanzania learned what power without voice truly meant. For the first time in decades, there was no president's address, no state anthem, no televised ceremony. Instead, citizens tuned into blank screens. Channels that once echoed with government propaganda now played static, until, one morning, the static shifted. At 6:07 a.m., across every major broadcast network, the same image appeared. A violet circle on a white background, the same symbol raised over the control tower days earlier. Then a voice, robotic, distorted, but unmistakably female. "This is not the end of Tanzania. This is the silence before we speak again." The transmission lasted 23 seconds, then vanished. No one claimed responsibility. But within minutes, the symbol reappeared on walls, phones, and buildings across Dar es Salaam. To some, it was a sign of resistance. To others, a warning. International observers called it the most advanced digital insurgency in modern African history. But to those living through it, it was something else. A moment where truth became smoke, and every story had 2 versions. In the streets, the youth now governed through consensus, neighborhood assemblies replacing ministries, public votes replacing decrees. It was chaotic, improvised, and raw. But it worked. For the first time, Tanzanians felt the strange pulse of direct democracy. Messy, loud, alive. Meanwhile, the mystery of Samia Hassan deepened. Satellite images showed no trace of her aircraft. Intelligence sources denied knowing her whereabouts. But deep in the archives of an independent radio station, an audio log surfaced, 1 minute long, dated a day after the airport siege. The voice was faint, echoing through static. "If leadership means silence, then let them hear my absence." The file was time-stamped at 3:42 a.m., exactly the moment when the control tower first blinked its coded light. Coincidence or message? No one could say. In the following days, rumors multiplied. Some believed she had gone underground, preparing a counterstrike. Others saw her as a martyr, a symbol consumed by the revolution she once tried to control. But there were those who whispered something far more unsettling, that she never left at all. The story of Tanzania is not an ending, it's a beginning. And across the continent, others are watching, learning, and preparing to write their own chapters. To stay informed, to stay aware, and to witness the unfolding transformation of Africa and its global diaspora. Subscribe now to our channel. Join a community that seeks truth beyond headlines, connection beyond borders, and courage beyond fear. This is Africa's voice. This is our time. And the story has only just begun. Subscribe, like, share, and stay with us for the next untold chapter of Africa's awakening.